Hi guys, welcome back to Credit Cupids. It has been such a long time, hasn't it? There's so many things that have been going on in my life. Planning a wedding, actually getting married, having a very important person in my life pass away, dealing with that, going to grief counseling. It's just been a lot going on. But I miss you guys. I miss helping you guys. I read some of you guys' comments last week, and it really just made me feel like I have to get back to my Credit Cupids family as soon as possible. And as some of you may not know, I really enjoy talking about just lifestyle and things that have to do with your lives, dating, all of that type of stuff, everyday life type of stuff. And the other day, I was talking with friends and about dating and things like that, and we got into the importance of credit. And I thought this would be an amazing series to do when it comes to credit. Talk about how it actually affects your life, how it affects relationships, and just your everyday life. So I'll be doing a couple of videos regarding that as well. If you guys have been with me for a little bit, you already know the importance of credit and you've already experienced ways that having bad credit can affect your everyday life. So let's go ahead and get into it. So, some of you may already know my story from previous videos, but I had no idea that having a bad credit could affect so many things in your life. Like, I just figured, if you had the cash, then it would be fine because having bad credit does not mean that you don't have money. There's a lot of people who have millions of dollars, but because they were raised into thinking that credit cards were the devil, and you should not have a credit card. They didn't even worry about what their credit scores look like because they could just pay for everything in cash. So that is definitely a myth. Just because you may have bad credit does not mean that you're broke, okay? So I haven't always had good credit because I've always thought credit was bad, right? I think growing up, especially in my household, credit wasn't looked at as a great thing. It was, something you had, but it definitely wasn't being looked at as a wealth builder or anything that can actually help you have a better life. And once I got older and started really wanting a lot of things, that's when I started realizing, like, oh my God, I need credit more than I ever thought. My credit score really matters in a lot of areas of my life. So, some of you may not be totally beginners, so please feel free to pass this part. But I just want to go back and talk about credit scores. So, credit scores, which are based on the information on your credit report, they help others understand the likelihood that you'll fall behind on payments. Okay, as some of you may already know, they range from 300 to 850 commonly, with a higher score indicating that a person is more credit worthy or more likely to pay their bills on time. So, creditors such as banks, credit card issuers, they often turn to your credit score when reviewing your application on whether or not to give you their services. Some people may say, well, I have all the money in the world, so I don't need, anybody's credit services. I don't need any loans. But little do people know that your credit score affects you more than just when you need to borrow money. So, I want to go over a few ways that your credit can really affect your everyday life that you may not know. And it's okay because we weren't taught this in school. This is something that you would have had to seek out yourself as an adult. So, one of the ways is buying a house. There are a few different versions of credit scores, and most free credit scores are either a Vantage Score 3.0 or a FICO Score 8. However, mortgage lenders tend to use much older versions of the FICO score. Fortunately, the score ranges and scoring factors are largely the same. And taking steps to improve one of your credit scores can help you increase all of your scores and qualify for a mortgage. But you want to look at myfico.com and go to their mortgage section. That will be more precise. Vantage scores, I don't know about you, but I can't I don't know the conversion from a Vantage score to a FICO a score that they use for mortgage or even FICO 8. I don't know that conversion. So I don't really even pay attention to whatever the Vantage score 3.0 is. If you happen to know any more information about that, please, you know, tell us down below about maybe how they convert that. But your credit score has a lot to do with getting a house and what your mortgage payment will be. So, say for instance, you found this house, it's in your budget, but because your credit score is really, really low, your interest rate will be higher. And so, you'll have a mortgage of way more than what probably the house is worth or what you really wanted to pay because of your credit score. You could probably get a bigger or more expensive house with a better credit score, paying a lower mortgage rate because your credit score enables you to get a lower interest rate. You also don't want to have things on your credit like collections and missed payments before you apply for a house because, first off, that's the quickest way to get denied for any lender in terms of buying your house. And also, it takes a long time for those missed payments, if they are accurate, to be off of your credit. So you have to take it very, very seriously in terms of buying a house. So, this next way that having bad credit or your credit score in all can really affect your everyday life is landing and keeping a job. This is really interesting to me because I've always been a freelancer, but I'm like, oh, wow. Like, if you're, in a blue collar job or corporate offices, this is really important because what I found out is that employers may want to know that you're financially responsible and don't have burdensome debts that could affect your judgment. Even if you're already employed, your credit could impact your ability to get a promotion or keep your job, particularly if it requires like a security clearance. So now your employer cannot do this without your consent. So you have the right to give them permission to do this. And also, in some areas, the states outlaw the practice altogether, but it's something to think about depending on where you live. I've heard that a lot, that jobs are checking your credit. They can't see extremely private information like your addresses and things like that, but they can see your credit history in terms of how you take care of your credit, how responsible you are, those things that really matter to some employers when it comes to hiring an employee. Now, some of you may know this next one. I'm assuming maybe if you're just now out of college or just now graduating from high school, you may not know this, but renting an apartment. So many landlords and property management companies, they want to review your credit before agreeing to rent you an apartment. Okay, having poor credit can make it very difficult to get approved. Or you may need a larger security deposit, which is a big headache. An excellent credit could make your application stand out and be super easy for you to go ahead and get approved. Also, if you don't have good credit, you'll then have to find someone in your family or one of your friends to be a co applicant for you, which then leads them to also be responsible for whether or not you pay your rent. Now, maybe your parents could do that for you. But if your parents aren't around or you don't have parents who have good credit, then who are you going to be able to lean on that's willing to put their business on the line, their finances on the line to help you get an apartment? A lot of times, you are going to have to be the only one responsible for solidifying that apartment. So your credit has to be the one that's in good standing. So, if you've been a subscriber for a little minute, you already know about this one, purchasing a car. So, I did a video about my new Range Rover and how I was able to put that in my business name, which I was able to do that because not only did I have a business that had a Duns and Bradstreet's number and that was building credit, but I had good credit on my personal side. So I was my own personal guarantor. So, although auto loans are secured by the vehicle you're looking to purchase, lenders will still check your credit to determine your eligibility and rates. So, having good to excellent credit could help you qualify for the lowest rate on auto loans. It could also help you qualify for like special financing offers, such as 0% interest during a promotional period, which could be super, super helpful. I was able to get an outstanding monthly payment on my Range Rover that other cars who aren't luxury cars, they're paying the same price as me, but I'm able to pay this price because of my great credit score. I was able to get a lower interest rate. So, this next one I am very familiar with because I love the iPhones. I love to switch the iPhones. I don't really want to keep the same phone for over 2 years. Like, I want a new one maybe every 2 years, unless the next iPhone is really like different than the one before. I can wait, but 3 years, I just need something new. That's how I am. So I'm a person who rather like get like leased phones versus actually paying for the full phone because I'll never pay for the full phone as many times as I like to change the phone. You get what I'm saying? Like, I like to change the phone every year, and the monthly amount that I pay every month won't equal in a year to the price of the phone if I would have bought it outright. So, if you are like me and you like leasing phones and you want to keep up with the new iPhones and the new Androids that are coming out, that's when your credit really matters because the carrier may want to check your credit before lending you a phone or letting you make the payments over time. They could require a larger security deposit or outright deny you from leasing the phone, and you end up having to pay over $1,000 for the phone that you want, and then you have to figure out how to sell it so you can continue to get the new phones the way you want to. Because of my good credit, I have never had to pay any down payment or anything, and I've always ended up saving money in the long run because I never really keep my iPhone for past the time of paying the phone accumulatively over the next few months. Tongue twister. So, getting a cell phone, especially if you're like me and you like to lease cell phones because you like to change them a lot, this really matters. Your credit is going to really matter. Of course, it depends on your carrier, but I think at this point, all of them do that in terms of when or if you want to lease phones. So, have you guys ever like heard people talk about putting their utility bills in their kids' names or other people's names? Having bad credit is where it comes from. So, having bad or good credit definitely affects your utility accounts. Utility companies, like including gas, water, power providers, they oftentimes will check your credit before opening a new account for you. And if you have poor credit, you may have to pay a security deposit to open an account and get your utilities switched on. So, having good or excellent credit can make the entire process easier and cheaper. I've never had to pay a security deposit. I also have always paid the minimum amount of anything that's said, or I've been able to get like the promotional deal. So, say for instance, with AT&T, for like I think the first 6 months at one time, the AT&T bill was like $40 because they had a promotion going on. Now, if I had to pay a security deposit or if I had bad credit, I wouldn't have been able to participate in that promotional deal. So I was able to benefit from me having good credit. So, last but certainly not least, this is something that I don't really hear people talking about in terms of like credit channels or credit videos or anything, but I do hear this in everyday life. I hear that credit, having bad credit or having good credit can really, really affect your dating life, whether you're single and you're trying to, find love or you're already in a relationship. Having bad credit can really create some decision between you and the person that you're interested in, or your relationship, because for some people that shows them how responsible you are, that shows them the stress that they would have to go through in terms of growing in their lives. A lot of people really look at whether or not the person that they are interested in has a good credit score. And you do not want your credit score to affect you finding the love of your life or have you miss out on someone who is perfect for you because they're afraid that you're not responsible. That's something that we don't talk about enough. And some people don't care. My opinion is it just really depends on the person whether their credit score really says that, because you really kind of have to dig in into why things are the way they are on their credit report. But some people, for sure, it doesn't even matter. If you don't care about your credit score, then that says a lot about you and they don't want you. So that's something to think about. And I think I'm going to go in deeper on that topic in another video. So make sure you check that out. So, those are a few ways that your credit score can affect your everyday life. If there's anything that I missed, or if there's anything that you actually didn't know that I haven't said that you have experience in when it comes to it affecting you, please let us know down below. I want all of our credit cupids to have as much knowledge as possible. So, put down in the comments all of your experiences on how good or bad credit has affected you. I would love to hear that. Really quickly before I end this video, just to be clear, let me briefly talk about what affects your credit score. Okay, so there are three credit bureaus: Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Okay, each of these bureaus, their score models may be slightly different or have different rules or weighting to determine your score. They use the similar scoring factors. Okay, these are the categories, usually broken down to about 5 categories. Okay, the first category is payment history. Your payment history can be the most influential scoring factor. Making at least your minimum payment on time can help you build a positive credit history. Missing payments, we've already talked about that, is a huge no-no. Having accounts sent to collections and filing bankruptcies can definitely hurt your payment history. Okay, number 2, credit usage. The credit usage factor may be primarily influenced by your credit cards and balances and credit limits. So, having high balances relative to your credit limits, also known as a high utilization rate, can hurt your scores for sure. This is something that can be changed month to month, though. It's not as bad as your missed payments or things like that that has to fall off automatically. Your credit utilization one month can be super high, and then once you pay it down, next month can be super low and jump your credit score up 20, 30, 40, 50 points sometimes. So you want to pay attention to that, but at least the credit usage is something that can be changed, which is good. Number 3, the length of your credit history. So, the length of time your accounts have been established, including the age of your oldest account and the average age of all of your accounts, that impacts your credit score. So, the more experience you have with using credit, the more points you can receive from this category. Closed accounts can impact that because it's no longer counted as a part of your credit experience. Number 4, credit mix. So your credit score may be higher if you have experience with both installment loans, such as like personal loans or a mortgage, and revolving accounts, such as credit cards. Again, closed or paid off accounts can continue to impact this factor as well, but in a good way, because they'll be able to see that you paid it off or that you have experience with a certain type of loan. So, a mixture of what type of payment experiences you have can really affect your credit score in a positive way. Last but not least, recent applications. So this affects your credit score because you get a hard inquiry anytime you apply for something and they run your credit. This can like balance itself out within a few months, but it does impact, especially if you have like a lot of them at one point in time. It could look like you ran out of money and you're trying to get more money from other places because you don't have it. That's one way it can look. But over time, it does kind of balance itself out. But just remember that the hard inquiry doesn't come off of your credit report for 2 years. So you want to also be mindful of that. So, what do you guys think? Did you guys know this? I know some of my credit cupids who have been here for a minute probably already knew these things, but for some of my newbies or beginners, did you know that your credit can affect so much in your life? I mean, I know that I didn't, so don't feel shamed. I had no idea. I didn't find all of this stuff out until like maybe my late 20s. So I am new to this, but I did put a lot of work into my credit once I found all of these things out. Like I hit the ground running and I really did a great job. I'm so proud of myself, which is why I made this channel to kind of give you guys what I found out and all of the information that I researched, kind of putting them all in this channel. And I'm a person who likes things quick, so I thought also that was a good thing to do with this channel because a lot of things I see just takes a long time. I mean, sometimes when working on your credit, you do need to take your time, but some things, if there's a faster route, I want it to do, and so I want to share it with you guys too. So let me know what you guys think of this video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share this video with any of your friends, family, if you have cousins or anyone that you know that's maybe even graduating from high school or in college or are adults and really don't know anything about credit, make sure you send them this video. It's very, very important. Thank you so much for listening. I missed you guys. I'm going to make some more videos. I've seen you guys constantly still commenting on my past videos, letting me know that some of the tips that I've given you have worked. You guys have been downloading and purchasing a removal guide. I'm so grateful for you guys. Thank you so much for your support, and I'm so happy that I have been able to help you. Thank you so much, and I will talk to you soon. Bye bye.